YouTubers and friends, how are you doing tonight? I hope you're all faring well through this time in our country and throughout the world. We have both Toledo, Jess, and Dano with us tonight, and I've been looking forward to this night for a long time. He's part of the Flash fam, has two great channels. Our friend Metal Detecting Alaska with Keithie 6. So don't go away, because you know what I'm going to say, right? We'll be right back.
Tuesday night Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night Hangout Live. It's Tuesday night Hangout Live. With your hosts, Ed Marvin, Toledo and Jess, and Dano. Hangout Live is a Flash in Your Pan production.
You have something done in the oven, Jesse?
Coffee's done. Coffee's done.
Coffee's
done.
Coffee. I'll take another round.
Come on back.
So, Dano, you're still working.
Yep, I'm essential.
I'm not essential.
I'm retired.
What happens when you're a maintenance man? You got to plunge toilets. You're essential.
And those who have important jobs like the truckers, number one, thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely.
Without the truckers, we'd be really, I need to be more careful with my language tonight. My mom might be out there.
Oh boy.
You should have got her on the show with us.
I don't see her. Hi, Mom, if you're out there. Everybody say hi to Mom.
Bill says the smoke detector ain't a timer, Jesse.
Coffee's done.
Coffee's done. Need to have the Java.
And you know,
hey,
like
Jack.
Like what you were saying, you know, all these people that are deemed essential people, truck drivers being, you know, a big part of it, but also store people, you know, Walmarts.
Supermarket people like your wife. Thank you, Ruby.
She went in the other room.
I see how she is.
Yeah, that's how she is. But yeah, you know, the store itself's been really good to the employees. They're gonna give them an extra bonus and early, and that's really good. It helps. But they come in every day, and honestly, the people are being so. How do I say it politely?
Jackasses.
Stupid.
Idiots.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to be polite with. You can't fix stupid.
Right.
People muffle it.
But here's the Walmart's the company is doing right by its employees as much as, you know, as anybody else, you know. But the biggest thing is, you know, people are still coming in for whatever reason, must have 48 cases of toilet paper stashed in their house for some reason. Don't know why, but and You know, and that's just, you know, that's really crazy.
Has
You also have
Walmart put a limit on toilet paper though, like some stores?
right, yeah. I think two a roll, two a person. But you know how that works. They come in, you bring your family in of you know your adult kids, and they each come in with you, and you all of you grab two packs. Well, where my wife works, they have that aisle closed off, and they have to they hand you the two packs, right? You know, they hand them to you. You can't get it because otherwise, if they don't do that, they get bum rush, like I've said before. But the biggest problem with that is the employees themselves aren't allowed to shop when there's stuff there. You know, like my wife or any employee when they're working, they can't pull their stuff to the back. There's cameras all over there. They watch these people. I mean, you know, they watch, right? Um, but so they can't go ahead and hide stuff for themselves like everybody thinks. You know, not saying that it doesn't happen because you know, after all, we are dealing with people, right?
Right, right.
You know, we are dealing with people. But for the most part, you know, the honest worker and that, by the time they get off work and able to shop, nothing left for them. There's not that gallon of milk they need, the you know the loaf of bread, whatever, you know, the roll of toilet paper, you know, the package, whatever. You know, they don't have that opportunity. So it'd really be cool if Walmart, you know, our favorite shopping store in times of need.
And pre-prospecting trips. Hey,
Oh
Wally,
yeah,
still
right.
looking for a sponsor, Wally World.
But I think it would really be cool if they could help the employees be able to. I don't know how. I have no ideas on that, but just help the employees be able to buy their groceries too because they're
What
not getting their
about
groceries.
leaving a bunch of stock in the back?
Well, see, that's the thing. They're not allowed to do that. If you allow the employees to do that, they would more than likely be just as bad as the people out front.
Well,
Honestly,
I'm sure
you know, sure, you know,
some of them.
right everywhere, but they should have some kind of system where the make the bosses do it. You know, make them work. That's not what I meant, but you know.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they would have to, you know, that would have to be something they need to figure something out, I think. Otherwise, you know, they're going to come home with no food.
Oh, yeah. I can't understand the big toilet paper thing. Granted, we're always well stocked on toilet paper.
Well, so are we.
Always well stocked on toilet paper, food. We
Like I
have
always say,
enough
if you got
food
toilet paper, you got odd socks, you got bed sheets.
and plenty of water. Now,
Kitty.
with toilet paper, exactly. Lucky,
Just don't kiss
um, but you know, you. Oh yeah, super chat. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, super
Iffy signals.
chat.
Thank you very much for the super chat.
I have plenty of toilet paper. I'm not changing my lifestyle or the way
No,
I shop
we
because
always
everybody else is panicking
is
and
panicking.
right.
Panic kills. How many times have we said this?
Right.
Panic kills. In life saving, I've learned panic kills. In many
Panic kills.
situations, panic kills. And
Right.
panic people kill. So those out there panicking, I know none of the flash fam are because they're outdoors type people.
Right.
I'm sure 99.9% of them are pretty level headed. But
You know,
this will pass. Calm, relax.
you know, my wife and I have had conversations about the fact that you know we're always broke. We always have money, but we're always broke, right? You know what I mean? We work, we get paid. You know, a few days later, we're broke again. But when the doo-doo hits the fan, we're not gonna fall. I mean, we're already there, basically. It's these people that are and they're not, you know, they're not enjoying life in reality. They're living to make money for when they die, I guess. But and then they forget to live, you know. So when the shit hits the fan, I mean, the dude hits the pan, they got a hard fall.
Delayed.
They got a hard fall, you know.
Yeah, well, you
We
know,
don't.
there's worse off places, granted, LA, New York, Frisco, where the people are out of control, you know, but then
Right.
again, they're like rats in a cage. You put so many rats in a cage, they start eating each other, you know, and
Ooh.
unfortunately, man is no better than animals a lot of times. But I hear you, and I feel for all those who are working in
Right.
those
All
type jobs. But
Eh.
without the truckers, I have to reiterate and stress upon the truckers.
Well,
All of you who are
here,
panicking, you have
here,
no
let's-
need to panic till the trucks
Right.
and trains
right.
stop moving.
Here's my argument has always been that truck drivers' jobs are actually no more important than a McDonald's employee. They're just as important as a grocery store employee. They're just as important. A factory worker, they're just as important.
We're all
Everyone
as
has
important.
everybody do that fits in with what everybody else is doing. You know, the restaurant workers are feeding the truck drivers. The truck drivers are hauling off the material to factory. The fact, and that material is going to the grocery stores or the stores or going wherever, you know. So it all works together. So no job is more important than the rest of the jobs. A quarterback can't play football by himself, you know. Just don't happen. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with my soapbox. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's okay. They haven't had a good Jesse Rand in a while, huh, guys and gals? Now let's say hi to some of our friends out there in
I could have got
Flashbang.
worse, trust me.
Oh yeah, we all could have,
Sure.
but it does no good.
Right. So, but the thing is, right now, we just gotta, you know, one of the things that I learned about being in the service was hurry up and wait.
It sounds like working for Alexander and Bebo sometimes.
You know, you have to learn. Okay.
Repeat that. You broke up, Jesse.
What was that?
Repeat that. You broke up.
What about hurry up and wait?
What you just said.
Well, I started to say that. I don't remember now. See, I forgot. I'm old.
Jesse's Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Well, let's.
Hey, I'd still give Joe Biden a run for his money.
Oh yeah, ain't that a
I
doubt?
think you can take him, Jesse.
I think I can too. Hey, I'll back too, bastard.
Well, we skipped over. We skipped over one part. Let's say hi to all the Flash fam out there.
Hi, everybody. Let's see. Hey, I saw our buddy David Villa and David Peterson in here.
Yeah, I saw David Peterson say yo, and we have GoPro Unlimited in Alabama.
Miss Laurel, how you doing?
Treasure Vixens have showed up.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
nice.
good to
Dennis
see
Hendricks.
them back.
Luke.
Luke's in here. As I say, Luke's in here.
Phil Marsh and
Why, Joel? How you
Jim.
doing, buddy?
Randy
Hey,
Scotty
Jim.
Tony was in here earlier, but I ain't seen him in a few.
Who?
Randy Scotty Tony.
He
right.
came in, yeah.
Yeah,
Teddy C
RC.
was first.
And of course, our the best, most awesome rock and roll, shaking, rattling and roll, Jaron.
The wild herp of the chat world.
Weekend, part of the weekend crew.
He's
my auction co-host.
He's up there in Utah where there's no gold, but lots of rocks.
Yeah.
And rolls and shakes.
Welcome, Relics and Stack Stones, Alabama Dirt Digger, Jeffrey Outdoor Influencers.
Evening Barb's Place.
There's Laurel. Did we say hi to Laurel yet?
I said Miss Laurel. I did. Treasure Vixen.
She's our auction buddy.
Exploring with the Nugs. We have some new ones. GS Prospecting.
Unlimited.
And
Alabama Dirt Digger. Hello.
Also
Island Mining Ltd. Oh, hey, you know what, Ed?
What?
You know, last show you told me about
ABC
popping out the chat.
Yeah.
Right. Ooh, I can make the text bigger too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it up to 125. I can see everybody's typing now.
Now, if I did that, I can't really do that because I got to monitor the stream. I can't really block it like we do on Jim's show or you guys do here. So,
right. Okay. Did we get everybody? Who do we miss?
I
Joseph
doubt
Richard?
it. I'm sure we missed a few.
And if we missed you,
BC, Dennis Hendrick. Welcome, Luke Duke. Thanks for the
Ms.
shout out in
Laurel.
that video you did a long time ago.
Relics and Stack Stones. Hello.
Colin Jesse, Brian Wilder. Welcome, American Gold Prospectors.
I told him to call in a few ago. Call in, Brian.
Hey, Matt. Diamond Miner Ivans. Richard, Joseph Richard.
Relics and Stack Stones.
Gold Pro Unlimited. Vicky, how are you tonight?
Good to see the Vixens in the house. Susan Hamilton, we've missed you.
Outdoor influencer, how you doing?
Jason Keith Prospecting. I just subscribed to Jason.
Did you?
Yeah.
Are you gonna watch his videos?
Probably some here and then when I can, you know. I probably have, I'm probably subscribed to as many channels as I have subscribed to me. A lot. I've been on here since 08, so, you know.
Right.
So, you know how it goes.
Well, but never mind. I'll wait till next show and tell you about it. No, I'll tell you about it.
Next show's Open Line Tuesday.
Hey, other Ed. Oh, is what?
Open Line Tuesday.
Okay, I'm gonna do a mail call.
When? Next week?
Yeah, on our show.
Okay, sounds cool. Not a problem, Jason. Good to have you part of the Flash fam, man. HD Shovelhead.
The other Ed.
The other Ed. Oh my goodness. We have Keith for about the right amount of time. We're 4 hours behind him, so by the time he has to bail, we should be good to go. But we don't want, his time's valuable. He's our guest, and this guy, the links to his channels, if you're not subscribed to Keith, down in the description are the links to both his channels, at least two that I'm aware of. His Metal Detecting Alaska with Keithie, 6, and Alaska Dual Sports, where I'm sure we'll hear all about them. because the show coming up now is all about Keith.
Yep.
And I want to hear Bigfoot stories and all. How are you doing tonight, Keith?
Hey, I'm doing great. Am I on?
You're on.
You're live.
Hey, everybody. I just wanted to say I'm excited and very honored to be on your guys' live stream. I've been watching this live stream for so long now. And tonight I don't have to type. I can talk.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's been an invitation out there for a while for it. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Big across my screen saying something about the internet. So I was trying to read that. I was going to say, I've been seeing on the news where they say the internet has slowed down. Anybody having problems with the internet?
only when. Oh, I was just going to say, only when I go try and file for my forced layoff. Every time I get to a certain point, it crashes. And I'm like, government servers for you.
Right. Well, that's too much work.
I was going to say, I don't know if you can hear the dog barking in the background.
We hear.
I got like 5 grandkids here today, so.
Oh, cool.
And they're barking. Maybe their parents came to pick them up, hopefully.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of another thing too. You know, you're supposed to be separated from them germ carriers when you're old.
Yeah, well, we're trying to help out our daughters and watch their kids for them since they're all out of school. Schools are closed up here. So
Yeah, they're closed here in Ohio too. Schools are closed till April.
Right. Yeah. Ohio's in a stay-in order, not a lockdown, but only businesses that are essential are open. You have to have a reason for being out in the street. They're not stopping you or anything like that at this point. Doesn't mean that it can't happen.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking that we're gonna do this first 15 days and things will start easing up. You know, because this thing is moving so fast. You know, it's moving so fast, and it's going to do its thing, and then the fact that they've had this social distancing, and I know a lot of people have made a lot of fun and lots of memes about it, and that's all fine and dandy. But you know, I think that it's something that probably has curtailed the spread of it, at least slowed it down. You know, so it's not, you know, because I mean, I'm not a media liking person. I don't like the media of any media. I think all media tilts their news to their agenda.
Yes.
Only tells you what they want you to know, and that's it. So you know, you have to do your research, or just, you know, figure out what it is that makes sense to you. You know, that's all.
You know,
I mean, and not just out of you know, I have a problem when people go, I heard this news say this.
Yeah.
This news station said this. Okay, or that one said that. And you go there and you look at the headlines and they go, oh my God, that's what they said. And then you read the article, and because you gotta remember, people don't read the articles. They read the headlines.
And look at the pictures.
And look at the pictures. Right? They read the headlines, look at the pictures. They don't read the article.
Are we back on your rant, Jesse?
Somehow.
I was, remember
sorry,
I'm
guys.
blonde. I was getting confused.
No.
Or partially blonde and getting confused, partially confused.
It's Keithie's. He pointed
Oh,
me there.
sure. Blame it on our guest. He brought it up.
He brought it up. I didn't say nothing.
I didn't do it.
Oh my goodness. Go home tonight. I should stay home tonight. See you guys later.
I just started my 4th week at being home.
Yeah.
I had I got the flu bug
Ooh.
and had it for 2 weeks, and that
Yeah.
ended up giving it to my whole family, and then I got better than this corona. So this is part of the 2nd week being home for that. So I've been big time. I've never been in the house this long. I've been going out and shoveling snow, but other than that, taking advantage.
Have you thought about getting tested?
Well, I'm better now.
Oh yeah, I mean at least get see if you've got antibodies. That would be a cool thing to know.
I
You know
never
what
thought about that.
I mean, because now at this point they're going to start looking for people who had it, got it, and wanting to see if they got antibodies. That way they can figure out whatever it is they need to figure out next.
Well,
You know?
I work as a school nurse here in Fairbanks, and
Yeah.
this person that I think I got this from ended up in the hospital just because she's a special needs girl, and she ended up getting really sick and was put in the hospital over it, and they said she had influenza B.
Okay.
So that's why I assume that's what I got, because
Okay.
directly with her, and then like 2 days later I got sick. So
Yeah. So your contact, you found out what that was, and it wasn't what.
I never went in to get checked. I just was so sick I stayed home until
Right. Well, that's all we can do right now. And yeah. And it's funny because all my life, I've always held to believe that when you're sick, you need to stay at home for a couple days
Oh yeah.
and get better. You don't need to go to work and continue to be sick and get sicker because you're weakening your immunity, tiring yourself out, and get sicker to the point where you wind up in the hospital for 2 weeks and off work for 2 weeks because you didn't want to work. You didn't want to miss a couple of days of work. So I've always been that way. Hey, people say, "Oh man, you just got a fever." I said, "Yeah, I don't feel good. I'm not going to be any good at work. I'm not going to do the job right. I'm staying home. Get somebody to replace me. I know you can't, but try anyways."
Well, like I've worked with people who abuse that, and they take days off and say they're sick, and then when they get sick, they come in and you go, "Why are you here?" And they go,
Right. Right.
And I'm like,
and that sucks because you're right. There are people that do that. I'm
never call off unless I'm dying.
Yeah, see, I don't believe that because not only are you get other people sick. That's the thing. You get other people sick.
Yeah.
I mean, well, now we're talking but we're actually talking about something specific. Something like a virus, something like that. Because I tried to go to work while I was doing chemo. You can't work when you're doing chemo. You can't work when you're doing chemo. I tried longer than I should have, but so, right. That was dumb. Anyways, but I'm talking specifically about when you're at the flu or something that you can spread,
Yeah.
So yeah, stay home.
fogging up my glasses here. You guys talking about the stuff, I put on my mask. Fogged up my glasses. Dano and I was talking about that pre-show anyway. I remember when I did auto body in the paint department. Even with our good respirators, I'd still be blowing rainbow snot for hours after work.
My boiler got all sooted up the other day, and I had to clean it out. So I put on one of those masks, and my garage got all kind of smoky. So I opened up the door and walked outside to get some fresh air. And when I did, my neighbors were all standing out there, and the first thing they did was look at me wearing that mask.
He's got the corona.
I was wearing that mask, and I was still spitting out soot for 2 days.
Yeah.
That much stuff out. So.
Only thing I don't like when I have to wear them because of new OSHA rules and stuff. I wish they would give us better masks so my glasses wouldn't fog up all the time.
Oh yeah.
Audio is very low.
For who?
Guest audio is very low. That's on Keithie's end, Jim. I can do the whole Zoom, but not Keith individual, I don't think.
I turned it up a little bit. Does it sound better?
That matter, you guys?
Does it sound better, Jim?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Miss Laurel says yes, better. Mr. Lodak says still low. Alabama Dirt Digger says sounds fine here. A bit louder now, thank you. Little bit. Are you still using Zoom? Yes, Jim.
Try the volume on your end.
Oh, I am not sure where to get to it on my end.
Not you. Whoever said the volume is low.
My brother's in the room. Hey, Jim,
Hey,
Mom might be watching. I haven't seen her type, so I don't know if she has a YouTube account.
What's up, James?
And she might be watching. Mom, Jim's here. Jim's here in the room.
It's a family affair.
That's right. You know, maybe my son Ian will pop in too.
Hey, Ray. What's up, Ray?
Ray
We got
Rusa.
Keithie out with us tonight, Ray. Somewhere around here. He's here somewhere.
I have another Alaskan in the house.
Yep.
So, Keith.
Yes.
What made you Okay, first off, you're a native Alaskan?
No. My dad was in the Navy, so we moved. He was a pilot, so we moved back and forth from East Coast, West Coast for a while, usually Florida and California. Then my mom and dad got divorced, and we moved to West Virginia with my mom. And and then I lived in West Virginia until I got married, and then we eventually decided to come to Alaska.
Oh, okay.
We celebrated being here over 20 years, not too long ago.
Nice. When did you start metal detecting?
Well, that's kind of a funny story. I tell my buddies that all the time, and a couple of my buddies say, "I know where that place is," but it's kind of weird. Okay, so I read, of course, the book Call of the Wild, and I thought that was the greatest book, and it just got me so interested in Alaska. Well, I started having this crazy dream, and it was about me walking up this stream bed with a metal detector, and I was finding gold nuggets all over the place. So I used to be in a splunking club where you go and explore caves.
Ooh, nice. Yeah,
Cool.
I like caves.
We used to do that all the time.
Caves are fun.
I was the tall, skinny guy that everybody said, "Hey, crawl back in that hole and see if it goes." So, anyways, in my dream, I'm holding a metal detector, and at that point in my life, I didn't know what metal detecting was. I'd never metal detected, never knew anybody that metal detected. So it was kind of weird that I was having this dream about having a metal detector and finding gold nuggets. So I follow this stream towards these two big hills, and when it gets to the hill, it goes back under the this crevice. So I get down and I crawl back in there, and I come into this room full of gold. So, anyways, I had this dream for years. So that's one of the things I said, man, I feel like I'm being drawn to Alaska to find this gold. So when I got here, I started watching a show called Gold Fever with Tom Massey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah. So got me.
I started watching it with the buzzard. Yeah.
Yeah. That used to be his theme song was my very first theme song to my videos.
Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Five, five.
I just love that how it says, I got metal detectors out the old yin yang.
Right.
Looking behind you, I see you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another metal detector out in my truck that I've been using my winterized, and I forgot to bring it in. But so yeah, I watched that, and I was watching this guy, and he was going out with his metal detector and finding, and because I was like, okay, if this dream is gonna be like real, I need to get a metal detector and get out and try to, maybe I'll look onto this, maybe it's gonna come true. So I started watching his show and started watching him finding gold nuggets with metal detectors. So that's when I bought a Fisher Gold Bug, and I figured if it's named Gold Bug, it's got to find gold, right? But then I started watching this other guy who wrote a book about going out to a place called Nome Creek, just right outside, about 100 miles outside of Fairbanks. And this guy had like an old 70s, 80s detector, and he wrote a book about how to find gold nuggets. So I went out to the exact places where he wrote about in the book with a detector that had, modern technology to it. And I was finding the stuff that he missed. That's kind of what got me started and all that. And it's kind of weird because, I don't know, Ed, did you see that little clip of that video I sent you?
The one where with the Bigfoot footprints?
Yeah. So I used to see those same footprints when I would go out looking for gold nuggets. And at the same time, when I was out there by myself in the middle of nowhere, I had someone throwing rocks at me. And I just assumed I was getting too close to somebody's gold, so they were trying to scare me off. It was kind of scary when you're out there by yourself, but I had a big gun. Because you don't want to get hit with a rock. But
right.
Have you ever been out there, just kind of walk around, and it's really quiet, all those just grunts, just like you can't tell where they're coming from, but you're hearing them.
So you're asking me, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I've heard that before, but it was grizzly bears.
Oh, well, where I heard them, I know there's no grizzly bears.
Yeah, well, I mean, the few times I've heard that, it's been grizzlies, because I used to go out metal detecting with my headphones on until I almost walked right up on a grizzly.
Into that.
I quit doing that anymore. Now everybody laughs at me because I walk through the woods and I make so much noise. They're like, dude, do you have to be so loud? And I'm like, I don't want to see no bears.
Not hunting. You're not hunting bears. Make noise. I did that in Washington in the North Cascades. Dude, I'd be walking down the trail, whacking the bushes and eating the berries, going, yo, bear, scat cat, yo, bear. Dude, and unfortunately, I don't think the pistol I carried would have did anything to a cat or a bear. I mostly carried my piece for the two-legged snakes that can be up in the woods.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I was gonna say I don't really have that big of a pistol that I carry with me. It's only a 45, but you know.
No, I think if you let them know you're coming and you don't give off that fear aura around you, they don't mess with you.
Yeah.
It'd be different. It may be different if you run into a cat that's hungry or a bear that's hungry and they're stalking you, then that's a different scenario.
I was gonna say I've walked up on a lot of them, especially this last year when I was out metal detecting. Some of the places I go, it's amazing. You know, during the gold rush, they totally cleared all these hillsides, and in the last 100 years, everything's grown up so thick, and
Right.
big thickets. And I mean, you can just look around and go, "Oh crap, this is bear territory." You can see where they've been walking and laying and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of spooky, especially when you hear something take off out through the mama and two babies going over the. I don't like to be around any mamas with their babies. That's
Right.
that says danger all over it.
Any species.
Any species, exactly. Any species.
That's for sure. So we've had some really warm weather here the last week. It's been in the mid 30s, which is pretty good. But you know, this time last year it was 54 degrees here. So this year it's staying colder longer. I did hear a thing where they were saying that we had our coldest and longest winter so far in the last 44 years here in Fairbanks. It was this winter.
Wow. Did it seem that way to you?
Did it seem that way to me?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Did it?
You know, typically it's anywhere from like -10 to -20 something. That's the average. When it gets to -30, you know, that's when it starts to feel a little cold. And that usually doesn't stay very long. But this winter, it was like -30 for the longest time. And then it would dip down to -40. So it stayed like between 30 and 50 for the longest time, it seemed like. But you know, it's kind of weird. The traction, your cars, because we have to drive on packed ice on the roads. So, you know, it gets slick. But the colder it is, the more traction you get on that ice. Like it's 30 above now. Oh my God, it's like a skating rink. It's so slick. That's why there was a wreck this morning.
Wow.
But yeah, it just gets, the warmer it is, the slicker the roads get. The colder it is, the more traction.
Is that because the ice gets dry?
I don't know, because I guess when it's that cold, it's so dry here. You know, like anywhere else, you go out and you roll around in the snow, you get wet.
Right.
But here, the snow, you can't make a snowman. The snow is like, it'll go through your hands like sand.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's dry powder.
Yeah, it's really dry, and until it warms up like this, and it gets, you know, slushy, and then you can pack it. It gets heavy. I had my whole yard cleared and my driveway cleared, and then yesterday we got about 15 inches of snow.
Yikes.
And they were calling for like 15 more. We haven't got the second wave yet, so I'm hoping it doesn't happen. I'm ready for the I want to ride my motorcycle.
What temperature does it have to be for you to ride your motorcycle?
Well, just, you know, the road's clear.
Oh, it's not about temperature. It's about road conditions.
I was going to say I've been out on my bike at between 0 and 10, and you know, you dress up and you're freezing, but still it's fun. Especially, you know, in Alaska, because your days are kind of limited here.
Right.
Thanks for the super chat.
What they say, 100 days of nice weather, and the rest of it's winter. So,
Thank you, Bob. Sorry, Keith. Bob, our friend Bob Drake, down east
Alaska.
detecting and prospecting, just gave me a super chat.
Oh, cool.
He wants to hear "Run for the Hills."
Dude, you just
Because our
went
friend
pro.
Ron
You-
Adams of Run for the Hills Mining is in the chat room. There you go, Bob.
You just went pro, Ed.
I've been paid to sing. How about that?
Hurt myself if I tried to do that.
I bet Dennis Dayton can't say that.
Oh God. I'd pay Dennis not to sing.
I hear
Oh,
that. Well,
God.
I would pay for you not to sing too.
Well, get on that super chat. Tell me not
Yeah.
to sing, buddy. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that, Keith.
Okay.
Can't let a joke go by, you know. You just can't let it slip by, right?
Well, no, not for Bob. Bob's a
No.
good tipper. Bob's a really good tipper.
Yes, he is. He's a regular of this show. Of course, we can never get him on. He'll go on other shows, but he
Yeah.
won't go on this show.
Oak Island's on, we lose him though.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Is Oak Island over with? Because he is kind of early.
he's-
So with or not.
Go on, isn't it?
yeah,
I don't know.
I think tonight's the finale. I believe. I'm not sure.
New one on in 10 minutes, so Bob knows.
We were losing Bob in 10. Losing
Yeah.
Bob in 10.
So did any of you guys get to see the show of the Alaska Triangle at all?
No, I haven't.
Yes.
Where was that at? I know you. I saw you put it posted somewhere.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, you know. They told me that it would be on in like September, October, so I told everybody about it, and then it didn't come on. So then they told me November. I told everybody that. Then it didn't come on. And I guess in the UK it was on. They released it there, and they were hour episodes. Well, when they finally released it here in America in, I think it was February or something like that.
Right, February, March, something like that it was.
Yeah. Then they were 2-hour episodes. And I ended up being on they told me I'd be on the second one, but I wasn't. So they obviously didn't know what they were talking about. On the season finale like 2 weeks ago. So, but it turned out pretty good because, you know, when you're on those types of shows, you never know how it's going to actually turn out. You know, they tell you to do this and do that, but you don't know how you're going to come across. That's just like a guy I work with. He knows like one of the best bow hunters here in Alaska, and he got to be on this hunting show. And the guy says, well, I like to make sure people I take hunting to shoot. So the host of this show made him shoot at some targets. And while he's doing it, he turns around and looks at the camera and says, this guy's not as good as he thinks he is. The guy had told everybody he knew to watch that show. So he was really embarrassed about it for a long time. So I was like, you know, they told me to walk out and go, you know.
Right.
All kinds of crazy things. So I was like, oh my God, how stupid am I going to look? It actually turned out pretty good. I mean, you know, for what it was.
I saw that video you posted about where you were doing video of them doing the shoot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I held on to that for a long time. I signed a contract where I couldn't.
So now that you've gotten that experience, was that like the first time you went when you were a kid? You went and first time you saw wrestling for real? Saw it live and go, what? That's fake.
You know what? My aunt was a manager at an armory back in West Virginia, and that's where they have all the big sporting events, entertainment, armories. And I had a friend who was a diehard wrestling fan, and he made me watch wrestling all the time. So I got me and him a job working at the armory when that like WWE or whatever it was back then came through, and we worked to help set up the chairs and the wrestling mat and all that. And then we sat there and watched them wrestle. And my buddy was like, "Wow, look how good they are!" And then the night of the show, they did the same exact thing. And he looked at me and said, "This shit's fake as hell."
You mean they rehearse it?
Yeah, they rehearsed every move and then repeated the exact same show once the
Yeah.
show.
Gee.
And he just turned and looked at me and he goes, "I can't believe it. It is fake." And I said, "Well,
No, it is real entertainment.
wrestling."
It's real entertainment.
Yeah.
See, that's why it's pronounced wrestling and not wrestling, which is what they do in college. They wrestle.
Yeah.
The sport that you watch is wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, if you're Southern or not, you either wash your clothes or you wash your clothes.
Right. But this has a different, yeah. Yeah, I remember the first time I went, blew me away. First time I saw it live.
I'm just wondering why they're all guessing numbers.
I don't know.
Did Brian start it? I didn't see.
Get to boot that guy or something.
Ray Russo started it. Oh my
Oh.
goodness.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
used to
know.
get all kinds of jobs working at that armory. My aunt would get me. You guys ever hear of that band Sha Na Na?
Oh,
yeah.
They had
Oh,
a
yeah.
show for a while.
Old Duck,
well,
old Greaser band.
What was it? Bowser?
Yeah.
Bowser was the baritone.
Rock and roll's here to stay.
Rock and roll's here to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a roadie for them for a couple months.
Oh, yeah.
That's right, David Villa. Doo-wop.
Oh.
So you were a roadie for them, huh?
Yeah, for Sha Na Na.
They're
Big
still,
time.
I think they're still together doing stuff too. In small venues, I heard.
I'd probably so. I have no idea. I haven't heard of them in years.
Or did I hear one of them just died? I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of entertainers dying here recently. I've seen a lot of big name stars. They're all getting old.
Yeah. Outdoorsy
Kenny
gal
Rogers just died.
Yeah, Outdoorsy gal says she has one of their albums.
She loves Sha Na Na.
Yeah.
Just think, I could have got signed for you.
They were at Woodstock, man.
Where are they on? What? Oh, he retracted it.
Oh.
I think you want to know where they were showing the show.
Travel Channel.
Yeah, it's on. So far I've found it on Travel Channel. Hulu has it.
Oh, I just canceled Hulu too.
Oh, did you? And then I think like Sling has it, and I don't know what other ones because I don't have those. But
we have a question Jesse didn't see in the chat. In our Zoom chat for you, Keith. Outdoorsy Gallo, our Canadian friend. Keithie, you need. Oh, never mind. Talking about the mic. Sorry.
Are we still not sounding right?
We're working on it. Keith's still low. You're all right, Jesse.
Okay.
But they're saying Keith's better. I should have read it before I copied it. Doggone it.
I'll say I borrowed my laptop off my daughter.
I read it wrong. Yeah, I read it wrong.
All I see is the glare off my glasses.
Who did that? That was
What?
You started your metal detecting channel. How long ago, Keith?
I'm thinking it was 2007. Whoa.
Wow. Um, did you start it off to share your lifestyle or kind of like me and store video on?
Well, when I first started doing it, I was just doing it for like relatives and family to watch. I had some people in West Virginia that was like, "What's it look like there?" And I said, "Well, hey, I'll take my camera with me when I go out prospecting." Because that's what I first started doing was prospecting, gold panning, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then I saw Gold Fever, and he's using a metal detector finding nuggets. So I'm like, "Oh, that's what I want to do." Yeah. So I was just filming it for family and friends, and it just kind of went from there. I think I'm up to like 998 or something like that videos on my metal detecting channel.
Oh,
And
wow.
when I first started doing it, I did a little bit of everything. And people that were watching it for the metal detecting would get mad at me and they would comment and they would say, "I didn't come here to watch you ride a bike or go kayaking. I want to see you metal detect." So that's kind of how I started a couple other channels. Somebody didn't want to watch me doing it on my metal detecting channel, so I said, "Well, I'll just start a motorcycle channel, or I'll start a kayaking channel, or a camping channel." I wish I would have kept it all on one channel because it would have been a lot easier to
So I know I have two of your channels posted in the description. How many
Yeah, I've got
channels
four.
do you have? Four total?
Yeah, I have four total. I have my metal detecting in Alaska with Keithie 6, and then I have Alaskan dual sport, and that's riding motorcycles. We have dual sport motorcycles that are street legal, dirt bike, trail bikes.
Right.
Go ride to places and go riding. And then I have a third channel called Alaskan Motorhome, and that's where I have a big Class A diesel pusher motorhome, and we travel around in Alaska and go camping. And then the fourth channel is called Kayaking in Alaska, and that's where we go out kayaking. There for a while, I was really getting into like whitewater kayaking, so I was out doing that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Didn't do as much last summer, but I'm looking forward to it this summer. It's fun to get in a river that has a flow to it and let that just pull you along. Some of my friends don't want to go anymore because they rolled and had a bad day, so they only want to go to lakes and easy flowing rivers.
So, Ohio Relic Hunter, our friend Bill Marsh, has a couple questions here. Let me see. He wants to know if you're still riding a WR250 and what is your longest ride. That's question number one.
Okay.
Also ask him if he is familiar with the TAT and the start of it is in his home state of West Virginia.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
So first, yeah, I'm still riding the Yamaha WR250R. I think they've won it for like the best dual sport for like the last 10 years. They're the most expensive. I know that. I was going to get something cheaper, and my buddy said, "No, you have to pay extra and get this." It's like maintenance free up to like 27,000 miles. So it's a really good bike. I use it to explore. That's why I bought it, was because Alaska's so big that if you look across a valley and you go, "Okay, I'm gonna walk over there and check out that stream I see, whatever on that hillside," it'll literally take you all day, if not 2 days, to walk over there. I mean, it's just so big and vast. So if you have like a bike like this, you can ride up on the road, buzz off the road, and be over there in an hour, and it just makes getting around a lot more easier. So that's why I love that bike. But yeah, I still have that bike. And then I think he asked what was the longest ride I've taken on it.
Well, I think he was asking about the Trans-America Trail.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, the Trans-America Trail, yeah, I know all about that. I watch a guy who has a motorcycle channel called Jeremy Rides. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that, but him and his buddy Mike took that Trans-American Trail. So, does it start in West Virginia? I didn't know that.
When I had my house upriver in Skagit Valley, up by between Cedro Woolley and Concrete, I had a Yamaha KDX 250. I liked it, even though it had a plate, a number plate. It had a headlight in that and a running light. Because, I'd be following horse trails and old logging trails, and it was a lifesaver when you come down after dark.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing we don't have to worry about too much here in the summertime. It never gets dark.
Yeah, my daughter said that about when she lived up in Anchorage. She had to black out her windows so she could sleep at night.
A lot of people just get some kind of thick material that's dark. They put it, some people get special blinds, but the average person just puts something thick, dark over your windows to block out the sun. It never really bothers me. When you're tired, you close your eyes and it's dark and you go to sleep.
Yeah, I know I can 99% of the time just outgo the lights.
Yeah. The bad thing about it being daylight here so long in the summer is you lose track of time. It used to be I wore a watch, but I don't wear a watch anymore because you're always looking at your phone. So, and I've got my phone in like my backpack, and we'll be out and we'll be hiking and doing all kinds of stuff, exploring, and then we'll finally go, man, I wonder what time it is, and we'll look and we're like, oh crap, it's 1:30 in the morning, and we thought it was 8 or 9 in the evening. So it kind of messes with you sometimes. You just never know. You got to keep track of time. But I'm looking forward to that though, because we were down to 2.5 hours of daylight around December, and since then we've been gaining 7 minutes per day, just about. So now we just passed over 12 hours of sunlight again. So once it gets to more than 12 hours, then it starts warming up. You got to have more daylight than darkness,
Right.
Our buddy from the California Motherlode, Bedrock Bennett, he's extraordinary. He's really good with his detector and finds some nice nuggets. He wants to know, have you gotten any big nuggets up there in AK?
The biggest one I have found so far, which I was so happy to find, I wish it would have been just a hair bigger, because there's like a record. Anyways, it was 25.33 grams.
Ooh.
Nice. Yeah.
Anything bigger than an ounce, then you kind of get put on a list of the biggest nuggets found in Alaska. They get down to where there's like people who found the 1 ouncers. I worked with a guy. I used to be a nurse over at a place called Denali Center here in Fairbanks, and it's kind of like a nursing home for old people. But I worked in the Alzheimer and dementia unit, and I worked with a guy who was from Ruby, Alaska. His best friend was using a dozer and was plowing off a field, and he hit a rock and got out to move it. And when he did, he picked up a gold nugget that was as big as a bowling ball. And that's one of the biggest ones I think in Alaska. Could you imagine the size of a bowling ball?
Boy, I'd love to find something like that. Jesse's been looking his whole prospecting career, and he's still looking, right, buddy?
For what's that? My softball size nugget?
That's right. That's right.
You know it. That's
Outdoorsy Gal,
Yeah.
our friend Outdoorsy Gal has a couple more questions, Keith. Are they salmon fishing up there yet? Is one. She's a big fisher gal. Her and her husband Johnny, very much fishermen.
right around in July is the time for salmon fishing. And it might be a little bit earlier south. In Fairbanks, it's in July. So they've traveled up from the ocean up to Fairbanks.
Right.
We have these dogwood trees, and they have these little puffs of white cotton looking stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in July, you'll start seeing that kind of flying around. It looks like it's snowing.
We get quite a bit that too.
Yeah. And
Cottonwood.
a couple of my buddies were native Alaskans, and they said, you know, right there's the native sign that the salmon run is about to start.
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
so that's kind of cool.
She also says a good friend of hers lives in Mayo, Yukon. Is that far from you? I know she would love to do low-key prospecting. Can't walk too far, unfortunately.
I'm not exactly sure where that is, but I know the Yukon isn't far from me at all. I could be there in a couple hours. I'm about 100 miles south of the Arctic Circle.
Err.
So it's like, you know, when you look at a globe of the Earth and you see the cap, it's like
Right.
we're almost in that cap. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You know, it's weird because when I was planning to come up here for years, I used to watch the weather. And whenever the lower 48 was having good weather, Alaska was having bad weather. Whenever Alaska was having good weather, the lower 48 was having bad weather. It was always the opposite. And so it's kind of how it is. If I watch the local news and I see all this bad weather and blizzards happening across the lower 48, I go, wow, I bet you we're going to have mild temperatures, and we always do. It's kind of weird how it works. But then sometimes when they have those Arctic blasts, I tell my buddies, I say, oops, accidentally left the back door open last night. And they get mad at me, and they go, close that damn door.
Yeah, Chrissy said that Mayo is about 5 hours north of Whitehorse.
Oh, okay. I bet you it's a good place to go look for gold. When I drove through the Yukon, I've only been out of Alaska one time in the last 20 years, and that was when my daughter, her husband was in the military down in Colorado. And so anyway, got out of the military, and he had to stay another week or two, but she wanted to come, so I flew down and drove her back. And yeah, all through that Yukon, when you drive through there, there's so many great spots that you just wish you could stop and prospect at. All the streams look killer.
So how goes it with your treasure chest?
It's frozen solid in the ground.
No one's found it yet, huh?
No, nobody's found it yet. I've had probably about 10 people. You know, one of the reasons I did this, I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the guy that did it in Colorado. Gee, I always get his name mixed up. Ferris Finn or
Fenn Strider?
Yeah, you know the one I'm talking about, where the guy
Right.
He thought he was dying of cancer, so he filled that chest full of all his treasures, and he took it out, and then he gave people clues. And he said the reason he did it was because his favorite thing to do was to get out in the outdoors, and he wanted to encourage people to get out, enjoy the outdoors while they were cold. So I thought, you know, I like that. So metal detecting up here, I'm only one of a few people that metal detect up here, and I thought, man, if I could get more people interested in it, then maybe I could have some people to go metal detecting.
Right. Well, yeah, I get you. So has it grown for you? Well, you just started this last summer?
Started what? Just the whole clues and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I buried it last summer.
Right.
And of course, you know, I made videos about it. And then I work at a school, so every time a kid would come in, I'd say, hey, have you heard about the buried treasure in Fairbanks? And they're like, what's buried treasure in Fairbanks? And then when they'd find out about it, they'd go, "Hey, my dad's got a metal detector," or "I got one for Christmas," or So now there's like 10 kids I know from where I work that are all into metal detecting now. They say they're going to find it this summer.
So Alaska Mike says I'm looking to start this summer an AK-91X. It
XLT.
is also metal detect in the interior.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
AK-91 XLT. I've never seen you before. Welcome. That looks like something. Wonder if he's into motorcycles.
I don't know.
I don't know.
All the stuff I think I bought to go metal detecting with. Like I bought a motorcycle so I could get out to the remote spots and metal detect. I have, and right now I've got, 5 motorcycles in my garage. And then I got a kayak because at first I wanted to get across the river to other spots. So I started kayaking just to do that and get downriver to other different spots. So now I have like 5 kayaks. And then I bought my motorhome because Alaska's so big that if you travel somewhere, you might have to drive 100, 200 miles to get somewhere or more. And it's nice to have something instead of a tent. Also got a motorhome too because my mom would go camping with us and she's like 70 something. So I didn't want her sleeping in a tent. It just makes it easier for her with a nice big motorhome. And at the same time, it takes a bear longer to get through the wall of a motorhome than it does a tent. I always considered tents to be like to-go bags for bears. Like if you were going to a fast food restaurant.
They're like, take out.
Yeah, take off and you're just in it. But I'm just joking. But yeah, so I forgot what the question was.
Well, they're all talking about my cat tonight. That's not Lucky.
It's not Lucky. It's Jesse's cat.
Yeah, my cat named Cat.
What's your favorite detector, Keith?
Well, let me see. I've got 3 Fishers and 1 Technetics.
Okay. Fisher's your favorite brand.
Yeah, and I started using Fisher when I first started, and I used to watch this guy, Russ Balbarona, on YouTube. And when you get a new machine, you go watch other people who have videos of that machine. So I started watching his videos where he'd go out hunting using Fishers. And anyways, watched him for years, and he ended up working at Fisher Research Lab. So I'm about to sign my 2nd contract with them to be a media provider for them, where I go out and use their equipment and make videos about it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. They've always sent me all kinds of stuff. Like they've sent me hats and stuff like that. So they're a really good company to work with.
My machine for prospecting is the Goldbug Pro.
Yeah, I got the Gold Bugs. I think it's special edition. I'm not sure if that's the same thing you got or not.
Oh, I don't know.
SE.
It's nothing like the old Goldbug or the Goldbug 2, I think it was.
This is probably mine's like probably a 2005 or 6 model, and it's still going strong. I use it every winter. Winter's so long here that I would go stir crazy if I just went to work and came home. So you got to find things to do, So the only place around, everything's frozen solid like concrete here. So about the only place that you can actually go is to the playgrounds at the schools, because they have what they call pea gravel. as a base in the playground. And so it'll snow on top of that, and then the kids walk on it and they pack it all down. But then you can dig down through it, and that pea gravel's still loose. So, and it's amazing. I won a competition here years ago called Ring Wars, and it's where all these metal detectorists got together. There's a couple hundred of them from all over the world, and we had a contest to see who could find the most rings in 1 year, and I found the most rings in 1 year in Fairbanks, Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think I found, I can't remember exactly how many I found now, but it was over 300. But because nobody had detects up here, so I was like the only person, no competition. And I found this spot where I always tell everybody it has to be the spot in town where everybody goes to break up. Because it's like there's a picnic table, and nothing around it for 100 feet, and it's just surrounded by rings. So I'm like, it has to be the spot where people go, oh yeah, go to the ring, you know.
Yeah. You break up with me? Hell no, I'm breaking up with you. Go find your ring.
And it's right by the river, so I should probably go down in the river. There's probably even more down in the river.
Do you have a fully submersible detector?
No. You know, up to the electronics part of it, you can
Right.
just 3 feet or so. Yeah, I go out to all the lakes and I do that. You know, it'd be cool to have one in the water, that's for sure, because I'd probably start diving and looking for stuff. I have a buddy that dives around here, and he says that they find like dinosaur bones and stuff in some of these lakes.
Ooh.
Yeah, they just been sitting on the bottom, you know, and dive down and find them. One of my friends, when I first moved here, took me out. It was between Anchorage and Fairbanks, and somewhere near Cantwell, and took me into the woods. We had to hike miles, but when we got there, you could basically see it looked like a dinosaur had fell over on its side and was like petrified in the rock. It was kind of cool because you could actually see the bones.
Well, that'd be cool to see.
That'd be
That would be really cool to see.
I wouldn't
Now,
mind digging and finding a mastodon sometime. They've been found here.
Yeah, I was going to say there's the one guy I was going out with in this group called the Arctic Diggers. They knew this guy who has a lot of mining claims. He has like the most mining claims around this area. And they were going out and doing the hydraulic where they spray the water
Right.
on the hillside. And he has this little tourist shop set up, the gold pan and stuff there. But then he's got all the stuff on display that he's found by doing that. And he's got like prehistoric bison heads, and he's got all these
Wow.
mastodon tusks, and you know, just all kinds of crazy stuff. Because a lot of the stuff that we would find when we would go out, sometimes they'd donate to them and stuff. So
Yeah, WI Gold Metal Detecting Adventures wants to know, you ever venture into some of the mines around Fairbanks?
to some of the mines,
Mm-hmm.
man, I go. It depends on what kind of mines you're talking about. They have the touristy mines that you can go look at when you come here as a
Oh,
tourist.
he's probably talking like old mine dumps from old mines.
Yeah, I do. And that's what makes it really dangerous. This one place where I go, it's called Happy Valley. And it's this hillside where there was a seam of quartz that had gold in it. And these miners were following this seam of quartz. And that's where I went hunting most last summer. And the problem with it is what they were doing is they'd build something to live in. And then close by, they would dig a shaft straight down and try to hit that quartz vein with the gold in it. And so anyways, they never filled them in. They're all still there. Some of them are skinny, some of them are real big, and depending on the size of them, branches have fell down and fell on top of them, you know.
Kind of
leave,
Right.
and they're like a trap, just waiting to fall in.
Makes sense.
Another thing that's out to get you.
We've found several of them that my buddy grabbed me and pulled me back, and then it all fell down in the hole, and I was like, holy crap! If I would have fell in there, I'd have been dead. And at the bottom, we see like old mining picks and stuff leaning against the wall.
Oh, cool.
Or another tunnel goes back in another direction.
Have you ever, since you've been into spelunking and caving and stuff, have you ever thought about rappelling down into those?
Yeah, I have. I just don't have any of that equipment. I know, and one of my buddies, I have a kayak and I have a water rescue rope, and those bags you throw.
Right.
Like, just tie that to me. I'll go down there, and I'm like, no, dude, you're gonna die.
Why not use a magnet to get some of them tools up?
You know what? I never thought about that. That is an awesome idea. And I have one.
Get
There you go, dude.
A good brute magnet. And
I guess sometimes I just don't think. That's like yesterday. It snowed all that snow, and what did I do? I went out and I shoveled that whole driveway by hand. And as soon as I got done and I was going into the backyard, I walked by my brand new snow blower.
And it's still brand new.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude, I'd be throwing a magnet down there. See what kind of metal objects are down there.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I got a 500-pound magnet for magnet fishing.
Oh, there you go. Hey, let me say hi to a couple people. One, Jeff Smith Gold. How are you tonight? Welcome.
Hey, Jeff and Gary, if Two Toes is in here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw a question here too. Question: what is the price? Oh no,
there's
Chrissy wants to know what the price of your gas is, Keithie.
Yeah, I saw that in the background. Look at that sticker. Why ain't it on your motorcycle or something? I'll send you some smaller ones.
Well, you did. There is one on my motorcycle.
Hey, Ken
good place.
There's also one on the back of my laptop. I usually.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Yep, right there in the center. Center spot, man.
Nice. Speaking of things in your background, did you paint that picture?
Oh, this picture here?
Yeah.
No, that was given to me when I worked over at the hospital here in Fairbanks. I worked with a guy, and he went to Costco one day, and you always got ice and snow on your shoes, so when people walk in, there's always water and stuff. Well, he slipped in a puddle of water and flying, fell back, whacked his head.
Wow.
And he woke up a month later in Anchorage, paralyzed on one side. And he was a really good friend of mine. And anyways, when he was kind of going through his recovery and doing all his rehabilitation and stuff, he painted this picture.
Oh, cool.
And he was one of those guys that would put a backpack on and go into the Alaskan wilderness for like weeks and stay all by himself. So he was into the outdoors, and he painted that, and he was recovering from being paralyzed on one side. So I thought it was cool. It's one of my favorite paintings.
Cool.
It was cool.
Crossing a log near Denali Park here in Alaska.
Nice. Judy, my better half, she just started oil painting herself.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now, what's been your scariest situation while out doing any of your activities, either kayaking, your motorcycle, metal detecting, prospecting?
I've probably got a story for each of those. Say, let me see, metal detecting. Like I was telling you, when I first started metal detecting, I used to wear headphones. And I drove about 150 miles from Fairbanks south to a place, it's in the Alaska mountain range, near a place called Ruby Creek. And there's a place down through there called Avalanche Pass. And I looked up on this. I like finding those cool geological looking spots, you know, that just look really cool. And there was one up on this peak, and I saw the stream running off of it. And I said, I bet you there's some gold in those streams. And I started walking up, following that stream bed, metal detecting, and I walked right up on a grizzly bear. And I mean, I don't know how he didn't smell me. The wind must have been blowing down away from him. I could have reached out and smacked him on the butt with my detector. That's how close he was. But it was through the brush. I could see him. And as soon as I saw him, I slowly pulled off my headphones and went, you know, and I had 12 gauge slung over my back with slugs in it. But how do you get that off without making a lot of noise? So I just slowly started backing up. And thank God I was able to back up. I was scared to death. First time I've ever seen him there, and he was big. And just him breathing, I thought he was growling at me. They sound, and he's so big, it just sounds so ferocious. But I was able to back up enough to get away from him, and I just kind of stood there, and he kind of started wandering off. So, but yeah, that was pretty scary. And since then, I don't wear headphones unless I'm in town somewhere. Uh-oh. Get in the chair. Hang on, grandkids are in here.
Live entertainment.
Live entertainment, right.
And then, like, on my motorcycle, one of my friends, his name's Chris Morse, sorry. And anyways, shut that door, buddy. He was riding on his motorcycle, and he had a really bad wreck. I don't know if any of you guys know him or not. Have you ever watched the Yukon Man? He and his wife were both on that show. Him and his wife are known because they did some bear noodling. Let me shut my door. So yeah, they were doing this thing they call bear noodling. And you know how you get in the water and you stick your arm up under the thing in the water and you pull out a catfish?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they were doing that, but with black bears. So the way they did it was she would crawl back in a black bear's den, and she would literally just smack this bear and wake it up. And then she would go, okay, and he would drag her out by her feet. And as the black bear ran up out of the hole, he would be waiting with this desert eagle. Pow!
Oh,
And that's what they ate to get him through the winter. Because, you know, they were homesteading. So they only did that when they had to, because they didn't have any other food.
Well, I guess that's a little bit better than crawling in there and just shooting it while it's asleep. At least she wakes him up.
But everybody thought that was pretty crazy.
Uses her for bait. I guess that's fair.
But anyways, I was out riding motorcycles with him, and he had a pretty bad wreck and shattered his entire shoulder. They couldn't even operate on it because it was
Yikes.
broken glass fragments. So he had to basically just immobilize his arm for like 3 months, wait for it to heal. But yeah, he crashed way out in the middle of nowhere. So me and a couple other friends had to get him out and get him down to the road to an ambulance. That was quite an ordeal. And then I hold the record for kayaking. I'm the dummy that I get the pool every winter. They have what they call kayaking pool practice. And I go in there and I practice my rolls and all that kind of stuff, you know, all the kayaking techniques. And then when we go out in the summertime, I'm the guy that's like jumping off all the logs and trying to go under stuff. And then I'm always the one that gets caught up in all the stuff too. They have what they call sweepers, you know, these trees that bend over and they go into the water. I've gotten caught in a couple of those upside down and almost drowned. I drank so much water that I ended up getting what they call Beaver Fever. It's called Giardia.
Yeah.
It's Beaver Fever is what they call it here. And you basically puke and have diarrhea for a week.
Is that from drinking too much water or drinking the wrong water?
Drinking water is affected by beaver poop.
Right. That's what I thought.
It's beaver urine that's in the water. and and their urine and feces that's in the water. But yeah, I lost like 25 pounds in a week. I was telling some girl about it at work that was her wedding was coming up, and she's like, I can't lose this weight. And she's like, what? How many pounds did you lose? And I'm like, you don't even want to drink that water.
Not drinking out of the river.
I was like, you'll puke for a week. You'll lose the weight, but you wish you were dead.
It reminds me of a time when I was growing up and young in Southern California. I was up at a summer camp at Forest Falls, the San Bernardino Mountain. And I'm like, this water looks good. I'm thirsty. Oh, bad mistake. Bad mistake.
Can't go by look, huh?
No, not at all. Oh, yeah, Mr. Ray Rusa. Thank you very much for the super chat.
Oh yeah, super chat.
So yeah, I sent you that little clip of that video from that show I was on.
Now that would have scared the bejeebers out of you. You back up into a squatch, huh?
Yeah, it probably would have, and it's funny because I found those tracks years ago, and I was on that old show called Finding Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And so I was on that. They had a 2-hour Alaska special where they came up and they split up, and I did an episode, that Renee and that Cliff guy. And that Cliff Brackman, he was on this Alaska Triangle show too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because I talked to him on Facebook and he said, we meet again. But it's funny because my grandkids all know about this, right? I found these footprints, and the neat thing is me and my grandson Joe, I've been getting him into prospecting and relic hunting, and we were out this summer and we found a big huge track, and I'm showing it to him, and he goes, I didn't say anything to him. He looks at me and he goes, that's a Bigfoot footprint. I said, well, maybe somebody's just out here in their bare feet. And he goes, no, it's a Bigfoot footprint. So we took a video about that and made a video about that one too. So it's kind of weird because this area where I found these two footprints is a spot where people say they see the most Bigfoot. I've never seen anything except the footprints, but there's been a lot of people who say they've seen it on this hillside. So it's kind of weird. But anyway.
Yeah, I know. I've mentioned in the past that I don't go looking for Bigfoot because I've already seen them.
Oh.
I've already seen them when I was younger, so I don't go looking for them anymore. I believe in them. I've heard them, and I've seen them. So I'm a believer, and I don't need to go look for them. Yeah. You all can go look for them all you want.
Well, there was 7 years in between finding these two footprints. I found one, and then 7 years later, I found the other in the summer. And it's funny, like I was saying, my grandkids know all about this stuff. So when we go camping, I take them way out in the middle of nowhere, and we set up camp, and I go, hey, let's do something fun. Let's do like they do on Finding Bigfoot. Let's make some Bigfoot calls and whack on the sides of some trees and see if we can. And it's funny because we do that, and sometimes we do hear knocking coming back. And I've never heard a scream, but I've heard knocks. But it's funny because then later on at night, I wake them up and I go, "Did you guys hear that?" I think the Bigfoots are coming. I said, they must have liked the way you did that scream because they're obviously coming in to talk to you. They get all upset.
Freak them out, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, you never know, man. You never know.
Having fun with them. My two oldest ones, I taught them how to ride motorcycles, and how to kayak. So they've been going out and running around with me and going on some cool adventures. Hopefully they'll remember grandparents.
Karen, two believers in different locations knocking on trees.
Yeah.
Well, there's a time here at the Swank West property where some people heard some god awful noises, and then one guy came to said he'd be there all week, and he left the very next day. So something happened. I don't know. Do you remember that, Jesse? It was
walked
during
off for a
Gold
minute.
Rush.
He walked off for a minute.
Jesse did? Oh,
Yeah.
go figure.
I had it happen up in Michigan to me. Something outside the cabin window made a noise. I don't know what it was, but I know it wasn't nothing I'd ever heard before.
What?
Remember a couple years back where people heard some grunting and stuff?
Oh, over
At
in
the
Bigfoot
Swank?
Holler?
It was more over by Wildcat Creek.
Oh, okay.
Where that one guy was camped, said he'd be at Gold Rush all weekend or all week, and he was gone the next day.
Something must have scared him, huh?
Something. I think they call it the Ohio Grassman or something.
Right. So we got non-believers in here, and that's good. That's real good. Gotta have them too.
I have an open mind. This is a mysterious planet
Right.
and a mysterious universe. Only
Yeah.
God knows what's really out there.
And Bigfoot in Ohio, oh yeah, they're supposedly they travel through Ohio on their way south. Supposedly they're kind of migratory from what I understand. Who knows? But you know, through Michigan, Ohio, New York, all over.
I saw
I
it
mean,
taking
if what they're saying is true, you know, then but I have an open mind, and like I said, when I was younger, I did see what I believe to be Bigfoot. So,
And yes,
I
they did,
believe
David.
at least that experience made me go, "Oh, there is something out there," and not to just say, "No, there can't be," you know, because there can be. Yes, drink more beer.
I did see a show one time where they were saying that they took sightings, like anytime somebody saw one or they found a footprint, and they started tracking it. And it was like in the spring, it was migrating up towards British Columbia and into Alaska. And then in the fall, it was coming back down into the lower.
Oh, you know, okay, let's
The world's first snowbirds.
right. Let's think about this. Let's say doo-doo hit the fan to the point where a whole lot of the civilization was wiped out. So you got pockets of tribes, I guess you would call them.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you, as a tribe, make sure that you were always in a place where there was food and water and shelter? You know, so you would have to move often. You know, if you were smart, you would keep on the move so you wouldn't deplete one area and you just move around. I mean, to me, that would make sense as this thinking human being would think. I don't know how a Bigfoot would think, but you know, I'm just saying. Just saying.
I could see the hole coming to Alaska in the summer because there's like 50 types of edible berries. There's the salmon runs. There's all kinds of. There's deer. There's moose. There's caribou. You know, there's so much food.
Sure. So you would travel where the food is.
Wayne, if you drink moonshine, you'll see more Bigfoots.
if you want to hear something funny, when I first moved to Alaska, I read an Anchorage newspaper, and they were talking about the elephant herd in Alaska that had gotten so big that they were opening it to hunting. So a couple of years went by, and I was telling somebody about this. They go, "No way, there's no elephant herd in Alaska." And I'm like, "Yeah, I saw it in the paper." I went and tried to look that up online. You know, you can look everything up online now. And they say that paper never existed. And I'm like, I know, I read it. It was like a 2-week story. And I read it. They even showed how to identify the bulls that were old enough to take in the hunting.
Huh.
So I thought that was crazy. So while I'm trying to find it online, I'm reading all these other stories about how they were building the Alaska Highway, and then the road going from Fairbanks to Anchorage. And they kept finding all these elephant skeletons. And some of them were, the thing of it was, some of them were old mastodon bones, and then some of them were more modern. So it's kind of crazy. There's a story that I heard not too long ago where they said that they killed a mastodon in the 1930s in the Yukon territory. It was, people were dying, and they were being trampled to death, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. So they sent this one guy in, and basically you built a campfire at night. Something was coming in, and this guy built a campfire, and when he did, a mastodon came in and trampled the fire. And he tried to kill it, but didn't have anything big enough. So they did it again and brought a Gatling gun. and they brought it down with that. But they say that they killed that in the 30s. So it's kind of weird. I just thought that was a weird thing that I had read about elephants being in Alaska, and then one of those mastodons that wasn't killed all that long ago.
You know, for the most part, when you read a story like that, you go, "Oh, okay, fine. You know, fine. You know, that's cool. That's funny, whatever." But when you keep researching and finding that these stories have been around for a long time and they're still continuing to happen, you got to go, something's up, something's going on. It may not be exactly what you're thinking or what everybody else is thinking, but something is going on.
Right. Well, you know, ever since I've moved here, I've worked with a lot of different people. Some of them were Native Alaskan people, and I can't remember how many Native Alaskan types here in Alaska. I think there's like more than 20 different languages and all that. But so they all have different stories. So that kind of is what got me interested in it. But I've been trying to write a book the last couple years called Alaska: Myths, Legends, and Lost Treasures. And
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I thought it did. And so a lot of these stories are like the Native Alaskans' tales about, oh, don't go near the water because the whatever lives in the water and it'll get you. So, you know, I've been writing a book about all these different crazy things. And some of them are pretty crazy because there's like the hairy man, and then there's all these. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but the origin of the werewolf starts in Alaska.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
There was a native lady, and she met a black wolf one day while she was out berry picking. And the black wolf turned into a man, and he seduced her. And she had 7 children from this man. And anyways, after she had the babies, she would take them out, and this black wolf would come and visit her. And anyways, as the kids got older, they were all male, and they had the same ability. They could turn into a black wolf. And anyways, 4 of the brothers got, they were like, I want to go travel and explore. So supposedly the story is they traveled across, the land bridge to Russia.
Right.
All the people crossed. Well, they traveled back across it into Europe. And that's when all the European werewolf stories and legends started. It was from these 4 Alaskan brothers that traveled over the land bridge. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, and sometimes those old stories like that have some kind of a nugget of truth in them, in the sense that maybe at that time there was some kind of creature in the water, a big fish, whatever, a shark, whatever, you know, that has the ability to come up and snatch you off the shore, you know. I mean, it happens. Sharks come in pretty shallow water too, you know. So, so it may be that they misidentified something, and it became this legend and story, and you know.
Every time I tell somebody that story, and that, you know, somebody that lives in Alaska, and I tell them that story, I go, and remember, 3 brothers are still here. So they're here, you know, because I thought, wow, wouldn't that make a great scary movie about some guy goes to Alaska for his hunting and fishing dream, vacation,
and his tour guy is a werewolf.
Yeah, you know, somehow.
Or a shapeshifter?
Huh?
Or a shapeshifter?
Yeah, basically the kind of the same thing there, I think, right?
I believe so. Yeah. So when's your book coming out?
Oh, I don't know. I've just been working on it. You know, collecting all these stories, and some of the treasure stories are even better. I love reading these old treasure stories.
Oh yeah, cool.
I've actually been looking for one of the treasure stories here in Fairbanks for 10 to 15 years now. And supposedly this guy was working on a sternwheeler that was pulled up at the Fairbanks, it's called the Fairbanks Wharf. And anyways, he was alone for 15 minutes. And in that 15-minute span, he stole all the gold out of the safe and then went somewhere within that 15 minutes, buried it, and then made it back to sternwheeler. So in under 15 minutes away from that sternwheeler, he buried what today would be over like 10 or 20 million in gold. But it was never found. I guess he ended up going to prison and denied it the entire time, thinking, I guess when he got out, he would get it. And then he died in prison. So as far as we know, it's never been found, but it's right here, like a mile across from me, across the river where I live.
But it could have already been found too, and just not.
And nobody.
Right. I mean, would you?
Well, you know, and I have a theory about that. The place that I thought where it probably was is the place where this guy built a giant resort. And I'm like, I bet you he found that when he was digging up to build that resort, and that's how he's made it so big. But anyways,
added a couple extra rooms.
You never know. There's another one that I want to go for whenever I can retire. It's in the St. Elias Mountains, the Wrangell St. Elias Mountains here in Alaska, and there was 3 guys that wandered into the wilderness, and when they crested the ridge, looking down into this valley, the one guy wrote in his diary, it's like, why is the sand yellow down there? So they walked down there, and when they did, these guys spent the entire summer and never had to use a gold pan. They walked around and just picked up gold nuggets. The first day they found a 5-pound nugget. The second day they found a 50-pound nugget. They estimated that they found 3 tons of gold, and they didn't know what to do with it because it was so much. So there was like a little natural cave indention in the side of this hill, so they dug it out more and they buried all that back in there. And anyways, they tried to make it out with what they could carry. And at the time, I think they're called the Clinton Indians or something like that. They're a Native Alaskan Indians. At the time, they were on the warpath because they didn't want people in their area. So they were killing prospectors. And they ended up killing 2 of these prospectors, and only one of them made it out. And he had the story. Well, so he told people about it, and then he tried to go back the following year to get more gold, and they never did find him. Somebody found the pack with his diary in it that had this story. So that's the only way anybody knows anything about it is because they found his diary that had the story. But they didn't say how to get to it, where it was, other than it's
Go
in that
back.
kind of area. So one thing I'd like to do is one day is like, hey, this summer let's go explore these valleys. And if we find it good, if not, then the next year, hey, let's go explore these other valleys and try to root them out and find the one where they were. Because if they found 3 tons of gold just by picking it up, imagine what's there that they didn't even see.
Well, you would also think that with modern technology and stuff, it would be something if their description was that they could look down from the top of the hill down to the valley there and see that the sand was all yellow.
Yeah, the yellow sand.
Right. That would mean there was so much gold there that there was no way those 3 could have gathered it all up. And if that's the case, where did it go?
Yeah.
I mean, the way you just described it, there was just too much for them to make a dent, you know?
Yeah.
So where did that all go? Did it get covered up? Did the Indians go, well, they found it, we better hide it or move it or cover it up or something? I don't know. It's just one of those stories that makes you go,
And then there's a lot of other stories where guys would be, because just think they didn't have GPS back then.
right?
Alaska is so big and vast that just walking through it and looking at landmarks, you're lucky if you can find your way back. But there's a lot of stories where guys, they would be like, I was going through this mountain pass and I looked over and there was just gold seeing out of the side of the. So the guy took like his axe and hacked off as much as he could carry. And he's like, I'll come back, but he could never find it again. Or other guys who pulled off on the side of the river and made a camp and looked down and there was gold everywhere. And they were on their way to a claim that they thought that was supposed to have even more gold. So they said, okay, well, we don't need that. We got
more up ahead.
And then when they got to their claim and it was a ripoff, they went to go find that and they never could find it again. So there's a lot of places like that. Now, that's all part of my retirement plan here in Alaska. Is I'm hoping to fall ass backwards over a giant boulder of gold one day.
There you go.
Probably.
Well, I tell you what, once you find it, do not leave it. Do whatever it takes because you may leave it and then not be able to come back to it or forget where you were. Anything's possible. I went to a spot once and I found this big boulder. And up in Ohio, we don't have big boulders. And this had a big old string in it, lots of dirty quartz in it. And I'm going, man, I bet this might have some gold in it. Because it was brought down from the glaciers, right? And I'll be damned, about 2 weeks later, I go back to try to find it. I couldn't find it. Everything was grown. Everything had grown in that time, and nothing looked the same anymore. When I was there, there was still no leaves on the trees or nothing. The grass was dead. Everything was visible. Well, once they grew in green, I couldn't find it ever again.
Oh, wow.
And I know nobody moved it. It was too big to move.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it's still there. It's in a small area.
Yeah.
Thinking of treasures and stuff, Keith. Did any of the kids find that treasure chest you hid?
Oh, no, nobody's found it yet. They're all planning to go out and try to find it this summer.
Oh, okay.
Doing that was fun, but at the same time, it kind of got to be a pain in the butt.
I bet.
Yeah, I think that's why our treasure hunt's only gonna last 1 day or 2 days at the most.
And the reason I say that is because I work at a school and they kind of announced it, and so like 400 kids knew. So they were all coming up to me and they're like, "Hey, I'd like to find your treasure chest." And I'm like, "Okay, well, here's the clues." And they said, "No, I'm moving next week, and I ain't got time to go look for it. Can you just tell me where it is so I can go dig it up? Because that way I can take it with me. And I'm like, well, man, it don't work that way. You're supposed to go out and find it. And then I had another girl whose dad, I'm going to my car to leave at the end of the day, and this big, huge dude walks up to me with this little girl beside him. And he's like, my daughter wants to talk to you about your treasure. And she's like, can you tell me how to find your treasure? And I'm like, well, there's some clues online you can go check out. No, I want. And the dad's just standing there looking at me like he's going to beat me up. And she's like, well, no, I don't want to fool with that. I just want to go dig it up. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, little girl. It don't work that way. And so anyways, it's kind of, I actually think people have followed me too. It's like, you never know what kind of crazy person that might bring out thinking that they can find a treasure chest.
Yeah, we got one planned for our outing.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, we gave the participants a poll: metal detect hunt or a treasure hunt.
Uh-huh.
And to this day, the polls like treasure hunt. I think there's only 3 now for metal detect hunt. So we're gonna put out a little chest of treasure for the participants.
Oh, that's cool. I started.
What? Wait a minute, Dave. I keep seeing David Villa keep posting something. I'm trying to figure out what he's talking about. What did I forget, David?
DRS, just
Yeah, I know. I haven't forgotten. I got that.
I see somebody talking about Fort Knox.
Yeah, Wayne Peterson talked about Fort Knox north of. I'm talking about Fort Knox just outside of Fairbanks, a huge open pit mine.
Yeah, they have a giant one here called Fort Knox, and you leave Fairbanks and head out towards Chattanooga or Circle, and you'll pass right by it. And every so often on TV, they'll show from all the gold they found there. I had a friend that used to work there hauling supplies, and I have another friend that works on the mine, like emergency crew. If something happens, he's like a paramedic. But so they have that there, and they've been mining gold out of this big open pit. And but recently, I don't know if you've ever heard of a town called Livengood. Everybody calls it Living Good because that's what it looks like, but it's Livengood. But anyways, it's probably 50 miles outside, or 50 miles outside of a town called Fox. And anyways, here recently, they have announced that they think that they have discovered the largest gold deposit in all of North America ever.
Wow.
And it's all under the entire valley of Livengood. And they're estimating it's like this huge gold deposit. What's funny is there's an old prospecting town there. I've been there lots of times. And when I go there, no matter what I do to my metal detector, it chatters like crazy. Why? The whole valley is just infested with so much gold mineralization that you just pick little specks of it up everywhere.
So have you picked up any of it?
Well, I mean, I guess you'd have to. I mean, you'd probably get lucky if you found a gold nugget, but I think it's like the largest placer type of, where it's in rock and placer, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna have to dig it all up and do kind of like what they're doing at Fort Knox, but do it there in Livengood.
Okay. Wyoming gold metal detecting adventure. Has Keith ever been to Chitna? I heard it's a great spot for salmon fishing and prospecting.
Yeah, Chitna, everybody goes there every year when the salmon runs are going on because they do what they call dip netting. And dip netting is you have a huge net. It's probably 6 feet across by, it's huge, it's huge opening. and it's on like a huge, long 30-foot pole. You walk down to the end of the edge of the river and you stick your pole in, and when you pull it in, it's just full of salmon. They call it dip netting.
Yeah, on the Skagit River, they did a lot of gill netting nowadays, but they used to do the same type of netting like the Upper Skagit tribe did.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Everybody always goes down there and does that. That's like an Alaska thing to do. Because you can get your limit of salmon in like 1 day.
Yeah. Also, we had a question from Outdoorsy Gallo again. Does Keith have a white whale for metal detecting?
A white whale?
Yeah.
Like, what does she mean by that? The thing I want to find?
Oh, I guess so. Other than gold, or I guess so. Would that be the white whale, Chrissy? What's on your bucket list of treasure?
Well, what's on my bucket list is that boulder of gold. I'd like to fall backwards over, but I don't know. Other than that, I think I've pretty much found everything that I could possibly find here. You know, the thing about Alaska is there was no metal here until the gold rush. I mean, the native Alaskans didn't have metal. They made everything out of bone or wood, or, you know, they used all the natural resources. They never had metal until.
So metal didn't show up in Alaska until the mining?
Yeah, until like the end of the 1800s, you know, like.
Really? They didn't have trading with
like
the Hudson Bay Company or something?
The Russians were here exploring at one time, but other than that, there really wasn't a lot until the white man came up here, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anybody that was non-native that had metal.
And pesky white men.
But they didn't have it until we showed them how to use it and gave it to them and stuff. But yeah, I forgot the question.
You're not the only one with CRS.
Should have got me a cup of coffee before we started this.
Yeah. Highland Mining Ltd has a question for Keith. Obviously, he is a fisherman, but how does he think the Mine Lab 1000 Gold Monster fares with the Fisher Gold Bud 2? Which does he prefer and why?
Well, I've never actually used a Mine Lab before.
Yeah.
I went metal detecting with the Arctic Diggers, that group, beginning of last spring, and one of the guys there had one of those Mine Lab GPX. What are they? I keep thinking like a 7000 or something. I mean, it was one of the huge ones, you know, that you specifically use for gold. You always see guys in Australia using them. And
right.
I don't know. I've never used a Mine Lab. I've only ever used Fisher. The Fisher can find the smallest of things that takes forever to find. So I figure if it's big enough worth finding, you find it. It'll sing out.
So
I really don't know. I've always wanted to use a Mine Lab, but they were always, I never could afford it. You know, because they're the top end of when it comes to metal detectors. They got the top of the line. You know what I mean?
Right.
But hey, there's nothing wrong with the other detectors. I think you can find just about anything else with any detector. And,
like Jesse always says, you got to learn your tool or your piece of equipment.
Yeah. And I've been using my Fisher Gold Bug now for, 15 years or so, I'd say.
You just getting the hang of it, huh?
Yeah, just getting the hang of it.
Bill, Bill Ohio relic. Now I know I'm going to butcher these two words. He wants to know if you ever found a
Baculum or Usyk.
Usyk.
Oh, you mean like one of the Alaskan knives?
I'm not sure what either one is.
Yeah, I've bought them, but I've never found one. That'd be really cool to find. A lot of the places where I go, it's places where during the Alaska Gold Rush, you know, they came up and they built little communities, little mining camps, stuff like that, cabins, and so I'm finding stuff like from those guys.
So your relics are from the miners, right?
Yeah.
So the relics you find, any pirate relics?
You know, like I find a lot of stuff like the
Treasure porn, treasure porn.
See, I find a lot of mining picks. I love finding these things because to me, this is like the ultimate Alaska Gold Rush relic.
That's like a half-inch wrench, man.
I mean, these things, I couldn't imagine. Oh yeah, I love finding these too.
Double-headed axe.
Yeah, because you know those guys chopped a lot of wood to keep themselves warm and
build their cabins
and everything. So you know it's kind of a cool relic to find, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Last summer, I was out and I started getting a signal, so I started following it, and basically it was rails that they put the big ore carts on.
Right.
So I followed it, and it went right into the hillside, and you could see where there was a mine opening there that they had collapsed down and closed it. But I dug like 100 little teeny spikes that they used to put the ore cart rails when they lay that down.
Right.
I found a bunch of mining picks, and then I was finding the little carbide lights that went on their mining helmets for when they would go into the mine. I thought that was pretty cool. That was the first time I ever found those carbide lights.
Yeah, that's cool.
Stuff. And some of the stuff you find, you're just like, what the hell is this? What could they have for? But you know, those guys were yeah. No, it might have been silver plated at one time, but it was plated with something. But yeah, it was. And what's weird is my buddy Daniel, who was with me when we found that, has sent me pictures. And basically what that was, it wasn't a lamp that sat on the table. That was a lamp like when you walk in a saloon, or you know, like if somebody had a big cabin, like if there was a bunch of guys living in a big cabin, they hung from the ceiling like a chandelier or a light. Yeah, and it was like a real fancy one, because he sent me some pictures of the intact ones, and he's like, does that lamp look familiar? And I'm like, yeah, it does. Looks just like that one.
So that's the kind of lamp you would find in a bar or a hotel lobby, or maybe even a general store.
And the picture he sent me was from a saloon in Alaska.
Yeah.
They was using the same kind of. You never know. I started to tell you a story earlier about when I found that one gold nugget. I took it to work because I was like, wow, I'm going to show everybody my gold nugget. And I learned my lesson really quick.
Because everybody brought out their gold nuggets, right?
About keeping gold a secret if you.
Oh.
So like. Well, you know, I took this big nugget to work, and I showed a few people, and the first thing they tried to do was they tried to bite it, or they tried to bend it.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I'm trying to see if I can bite it or bend it. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, I want to see if it's real. And I said, well, hold up. I was showing it to you. I didn't ask you to assess it for me and prove to me it's real. Where did you get it? And can you draw me a map?
Yeah.
So the one I told, I said, well, I'll tell you where, the White Mountains recreational area. And that's like so many 100,000 acres of land. I'm like, yeah, I found it right in the middle.
Yep. Often.
But I always thought that was funny because they always wanted to bite it, bend it to prove it was real or not real. And then once they thought it was real, they wanted you to tell them where you got it and draw them a map. So when I did find big nuggets, I didn't go to work and show everybody anymore. I just showed people at home and friends.
Yeah, you tend to, let's face it, if I ever found a treasure worth a lot of money, no one would never know I found it.
Yeah.
They would just go, do you remember Jesse, that guy, Toledo Jesse, remember whatever happened to him? I don't know, he just disappeared.
I was going to say the first thing is the government would probably take a big chunk of it.
They'd give me a little chunk of it is what they would do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, don't forget the lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Wayne, what treasure? What gold? I didn't find no gold. That softball sitting there is not gold.
Yeah. That's like I heard a story about it was either North or South Carolina. I think I guess they had a lot of gold there at one time. And some
They
guy,
do at one time.
yeah, his kid found this big rock and he brought it home and they used it for a doorstop for years. And then some guy happened to be coming by that was like a geologist or something, knew something about minerals. And he looked down and he's like, holy crap, that's gold. Oh,
Right.
really?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And the guy bought it for hardly nothing.
Didn't he also rip them off and just give them a little bit of money for what it was worth?
That's what I think. That's what I think. I remember hearing in the story. But yeah.
Well, and we've been down for 2.25 hours, so.
Yeah, so I probably should be going. I hate to go though.
I know. We hate to let you go.
Oh yeah.
And do let these people here in the chat room know that it's not that bad being where you are.
Oh no. What do you mean? Just Alaska in general?
No, on the show. On the show. They don't have to be afraid
Thanks,
to come
Bill.
It's just
Bill?
a Zoom call.
I
Bob?
was muted. Or Bob. No, Bill. Bill
That's
said
Bill.
it.
a Zoom
Bob.
call.
Ed muted. Yep. Not now, Brian.
I was gonna say I can't see any of the chat. My computer died a while back. So
Oh.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Brian, and everyone else. No sound from Ed. I do that sometimes. I like I was saying, and they couldn't hear. Thank you for joining us tonight, Keith, and I appreciate it. I've been wanting you on for a long time. We've talked about this for a while, and hopefully someone will find your treasure the right way.
Right.
and people would stop bugging you and take it for what it is and meant to be.
And they want you back already. Bring them back.
Well,
Bring
I'm sure Keith will come on again sometime in the future.
Well, heck yeah. Maybe after I find that boulder of gold.
There you
Oh,
go.
that would be, you know what? That would be some.
I
No,
wouldn't tell you.
I wouldn't show it. As much as I'd love to see that gold porn, I wouldn't show it. I wouldn't even let us know we had it.
So many hands that stick out for that thing.
Oh, dude, I'd be right there next to you. Take me about 5 minutes.
I'm your long lost brother. Don't you remember me?
Oh, yeah.
The relatives would come out of the woodwork.
Boy.
I was going to say my mom had 17 brothers and sisters, so I had a lot of cousins.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
They'd all be coming and wanting some money.
Relatives be coming out of the woodwork. Again, Keith, thank you very much. Now, all of you out there, Flash fam and friends, you're the reason why we do this every week, and we thank you all very much. Thank you all very much for the super chats. Iffy Signals, Down East Detecting and Prospecting, and Ray Rusa, thank you very much. Next Tuesday is Open Line Tuesday, so you know what that means. You're our guest. We might even have a little bit of what you got. So,
ooh, yeah, send in some pictures, people.
Send in some pictures to that email right there, and we'll put them up and let the world to see your find or whatever you may want to send us. Nothing pornographic or nothing unless it's treasure porn or gold porn, but you know how we are about that kind.
Right. That's private. and then don't forget, people, stay calm out there. You know, it'll just like a train. There's always a caboose. This too will pass.
Take care of yourselves and take care of your friends.
Right, and then help out those people that can't get help, and
that's right.
Be a little nicer and kinder to those people that are still working, because
a lot of stress right now.
A lot of stress, lots, and so we just all gotta calm down, take it easy, kick back and relax. Well, not that quite that relaxed, but you know.
We hope it's over sooner than later.
Yes, I still go with what I predicted the other night. I think on the 14th day, the planet will be healed.
We'll see. Let's hope.
Yeah.
I also have an auction this coming Saturday. I'll have a little preview video, and again, I'll be doing a giveaway during the auction, so you'll have to comment in my preview video. Also,
if you're cooped up, bring your wallet to Ed's sale.
Yeah. Also, I'll be having a Patreon only stream on Sunday afternoon. So Patreons, I'll be posting the link on the Patreon page. Hope to see all of you there. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm having an auction. We're auctioning off the cookie jars.
Oh yeah.
They're going. Yeah.
Well, we got together this week and
where's
made
that?
small decisions on the outing.
Where's that?
It's going to be on Facebook at Wyland's Auction Services on Facebook. 7 o'clock. It'll probably be on a Wednesday night. I'm thinking about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So if you're interested in these lovely, and some of these are McCoys.
Well, they can't see you, Jesse. Let me unpin.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Now you're all visible.
All right. So, yeah. So the cookie jars are going up for auction. Dale
Save,
needs to auction
save,
off his balls, Brian
save me
says.
the snowman.
I tell you, tell me what you'll pay for it, and I'll put a reserve on it.
For my balls.
I don't
No,
know. Just let me know when the auction is, Jesse.
I will.
I'm sure you'll bring it up next week and so forth.
I might mention it.
If any of you that have a channel like to be a guest, give me an email. Shoot me an email. We'll get you on. Also, until next time, be safe. Stay positive. Don't sweat the petty. Sweat the sweaty. Until then, may you always have a flash in your pan.
And you know what he's going to say next.
That's right, Jesse, because it happens, maybe one day too. Will you on the river? Good night, everybody. God bless.
Good night, everybody.
Stay safe.
Folks.
Good night, Ethan. Good night, Keithie.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.